guys, this is Taylor and I'm here to do my May wrap-up. I'm still recovering from a bit of a reading slump, and as such I only read 3 things in May. And I do wish I'd ultimately gotten to more, but at the same time, you know, everything is ephemeral and time is an illusion. So the first thing I read in May, and the thing that took up the vast majority of my time, was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. And first of all, I should point out that I didn't read this actual copy because I was too concerned about getting fingerprints on it. So I'm that guy now. And Jane Eyre, basically, I wasn't super impressed by it, I'm sorry to say. I definitely enjoyed parts of it, but the main thing, the thing that it was just not able to recover from for me, was Rochester being a complete and total dick. I did not like him at all. I dislike him pretty emphatically. He was just not able to redeem himself in my eyes. And maybe I read this with too modern of a lens, but some of his actions seemed pretty manipulative to me. Another thing is that it really lost a lot of momentum around the 3/4 mark. There were 100 pages or so that were a struggle. However, I by no means hated it. I really enjoyed Jane as a character. Some of the writing was really beautiful, especially the kind of confessional scene around the midway point. But yeah, I just didn't drink the Kool-Aid, so to speak. I ended up giving Jane Eyre 3 stars, but yeah, feel free to try and convince me otherwise in the comments. And please let me know what your favorite adaptation is. Thanks. The next thing I read in May was The Art and Craft of Tea by Joseph Wesley Ull, which you've seen a lot of already. This is just a big, beautiful book about tea, with the subtitle being An Enthusiast's Guide to Selecting, Brewing, and Serving Exquisite Tea. And for the most part I enjoyed this. I did, weirdly enough, have some problems with it. First things first, this book is gorgeously published. The paper, the graphic design, the photos were also carefully chosen, and it really pays off. It's such a physically beautiful book. I also really liked a lot of the points that it made. One of the ones that it really drove home was that the history of tea really embodies our shared humanity, which I thought was really nice. It also went surprisingly deep into the science behind processing tea, which is so much more involved than you think it is. It touched on the historical significance of water in religion and literature. It had tea recipes. It covered a lot of ground, is what I'm trying to say. The thing I didn't like was there was this bit almost right in the middle that was just like, by the way, almost any kind of tea that you can buy at your local grocery store is not really tea. It's just chemicals and herbs. And I'm just like, are you saying that I have to fly myself to Taiwan to taste real tea? Because that's not feasible. Basically, it didn't really offer many practical tips for the average person. Maybe that's why it's called An Enthusiast's Guide. I ended up giving The Art and Craft of Tea 3 stars. Very beautiful, not super useful. And the last thing I read in May was, congratulations by the way, Some Thoughts on Kindness by George Saunders. This is his graduation speech at Syracuse University. And this was absolutely wonderful. I read it in a half hour, but I've thought about it every day since then. It really just is some thoughts on kindness and why it's the most valuable thing to strive for in your life. And that sounds a little corny, but it's George Saunders, so of course he delivers it in a way that is fresh and interesting and ultimately rings so true. I actually gave this 5 stars because I wouldn't change anything about it. So that was my May, and before I go I would love to do a quick little TBR for Japanese June, which was a thing last year. I don't know if it's going to be a thing this year, but I'm doing it, so okay. The first thing I'm going to be reading in June is Geisha: A Life by Mineko Iwasaki, who was the real woman interviewed for Arthur Golden's Memoirs of a Geisha. But then that author really took her story and twisted it around to the point where she lost friends and relationships, so she decided to write her own autobiography, which I would much rather read. What would Japanese June be for me without Murakami? I will be reading his first 2 novels published here in this beautiful bind-up. I have Hear the Wind Sing and Pinball 1973. So pretty. And the last thing I want to read for Japanese June is Matsuo Basho's Narrow Road to the Deep North, which is his collected haiku and travel sketches. Provided that I finish all 3, I will then move on to non-Japanese things. I just wanted to make my TBR doable. So I hope you're having a great day. I hope you had a decent May. And I'll see you soon. Bye!